Coming to you from a cozy little condo high atop Old Fourth Ward, Atlanta. Welcome to The Ron Show on America One Radio. Here's your host, Ron Roberts.
If there's one thing I think that most Americans could agree on, it's that partisanship, hyper-partisanship, is going to be the death of this nation. I mean, listen, I'm not ignorant. I'm paying attention to the same headlines you are. We've got 19 to 25-year-olds hacking into the U.S. Treasury at the behest of Elon Musk, none of whom were elected to serve in their capacities in doing so. And the Treasury, no big deal. That's just where tax refunds and Social Security checks and money for other federal agencies come from. No big deal. If none of that actually starts coming out, then you'll see the panic. Nonetheless, let's focus in on what some Georgia Republicans are advocating in recent days. I'm going to read from the Politically Georgia blog in today's Atlanta Journal-Constitution. Top Georgia Republicans are renewing their push to only let voters who register as party members cast ballots in GOP primaries. It's part of an attempt to guarantee more ideological purity among the nominees. First, let me say, I'm a Democrat. I have been a registered Democrat since the age of 18 in Athens, Clark County, Georgia. I have attended conventions. I have worked on county parties in South Carolina and served as a delegate at the county, at the state level, presided over a county party group. I'm a Democrat, and I like when Democrats weigh in on democratic issues. When it comes to the platform, when it comes to the party machinations, et cetera, so on. However, and this is something that I have some issues with the Democratic Party on in the past, I believe in democracy as well. Pure democracy. I just do. I believe in pure democracy. At the local, at the state, and God forbid, the federal level, it would be nice to see a lot more democracy. Side note, I wore my Bernie Sanders t-shirt yesterday. Don't know why, I just did. I saw it, I was like, you know what? I was having a really bad day. Yesterday was just I was not having a really good day, and it got so much better, like towards 5 o'clock, 5:30 or so. First thing, I got my text message from Target Optical that my glasses had come in. Great. I've been limping along with some bruised and battered and chipped glasses for a while, and finally got my glasses in yesterday, and I see clearly now. I've been dating someone for about 6 weeks now, and he showed up, and we were going to just cook a Stouffer's lasagna and watch TV and just chill. And I got a call I was waiting for from a client that had been elusive for a few days that was starting to make me have some self-doubts, et cetera, and so on. And then, of course, all the headlines, right? Just having a terrible day. So I put on my Bernie Sanders shirt. I don't know what, it was a comfort shirt. And I don't reach for it all the time like that. It's not like Linus's blanket for me or anything. I don't know. I just put it on. And I had to run to Kroger to pick up the lasagna. And I got a salad kit, Caesar salad, garlic bread. Just decided to really go all in on the lasagna dinner thing. Anyway, the lady who helped me find the garlic bread I was looking for, she spotted my Bernie Sanders shirt. And she said, "I'm with you. Bernie's the man." Bernie is the man. Still is the man, by the way. I'll talk a little bit about how he's holding strong in the U.S. Senate while a lot of folks in the Democratic Party are capitulating to this new regime. So that was kind of cool, right? Bernie Sanders famously kind of got the shaft by the Democratic Party back in 2016. There were a lot of folks who wanted to vote for Bernie Sanders in 2016, but in some states, at the state level, you're not allowed to vote in the Democratic primary unless you are a registered Democrat. And sometimes you have to do that weeks, maybe months in advance. There are 50 states. Forgive me if I don't know every rule. You have to register in advance to vote in the primary. And I don't think that's right. I think sometimes a candidate comes along that really inspires you and awakens you and makes you realize, oh my gosh, I believe in this person. And, oh, he or she is in that party. And that is their values too? Yes. I mean, why wouldn't you want that, right? Democratic Party squandered an opportunity in 2016 to grow the party. And I mean, obviously hindsight's 2020. It was 9 years ago. But Bernie was right about a lot of things. And Sanders' platform and policies could have prevented a lot of things that we're faced with now from happening. And I'm not saying that had everybody who wanted to vote in that primary season gotten the chance to vote, that the outcome would have been different, or that if the DNC hadn't have been tinkering behind the scenes to nuance the media, to cover things the way that they did, that the outcome would have changed. But man, what a difference it would have made had we just enjoyed pure democracy in that primary season. And at the convention, when Bernie Sanders stopped the delegate count to push all of his delegates towards Hillary Clinton, to me, I thought, okay, you know what, that is so magnanimous. He's been so magnanimous since then. There's been a lot of sniping back and forth. It's died down in recent years and should stay that way. Honestly, that's what's done is done. But I, to this day, cannot shake that sense that back in 2016, the Democratic Party kind of laid the groundwork for the direction we'd be going in to where we are now. And I'm not blaming them for the ascendancy of Donald Trump, but it's hard to ignore that in 2016, there was a populist movement happening on both sides of the aisle, right? And that Republicans sort of, I hesitate to say it, but they sort of fell victim to it. They had a dais full of candidates, all mainstream candidates, right? Jeb Bush, Chris Christie. I mean, they had mainstream candidates up and down the dais. And then there was this guy, this Donald Trump, who really spoke out of left field, pulling shit out of his ass and none of it making any sense. And yet there was a populist strain that said, yeah, he's speaking what I'm feeling. The crazy drunk uncle that shows up for Thanksgiving that listens to everything Fox News has been telling them, or talk radio. And everybody else on the dais except Donald Trump knew that a lot of that stuff was absolute bullshit. But the kind of bullshit that keeps getting them reelected. So they weren't going to put it into action. They just knew that enough of it in right-wing media kept getting them elected. I've talked at length from time to time about how all that misinformation and disinformation over the last 40, 50 years or whatever has wrought us Donald Trump and the MAGA movement. It's like Godzilla. Yeah, you know, all that pollution eventually gets you a monster, and a monster you can't control or contain. So, I mean, the Republican Party is way more complicit, but the Democratic Party didn't answer or capitulate, I guess you could say, to the populism that was rearing its head in 2016. We were seeing it. Packed arenas and rallies, tens of thousands showing up in states even where Democrats weren't supposed to fare well. And the Democratic Party obviously chose the person they chose with the voters that were allowed to vote in their primary, and in some states those were closed primaries, and there are folks who came away feeling like it wasn't fair, it wasn't democratic. I realize that the name of the party doesn't mean that the Democratic Party is for pure democracy. But as we've seen since 2016, with another electoral college quirk loss, just 16 years after another electoral college quirk loss, despite winning the popular vote, the Democratic Party has come around to realizing, you know, this democracy thing might actually work better in our favor. And it has. We've elected most of the popular votes for president in the last, since 1988, 84, 80. I mean, 92. Since 1992 have gone the Democratic Party's way, except the electoral college part, which has cost us 12 years of presidential governance since 1992. By my math, that's 32 years. So to only have 20 of those 32 years, we've been cheated a little bit, right? Anyway, getting back to what the Georgia Republicans want to do here. They want to end Georgia's open primary season. And according to the blog here, the idea to end that, which now allows any voter to choose either party's ballot, has long failed to gain traction. But Georgia GOP Chair Josh McCoon says it's time to reopen the debate now that President Donald Trump is back in the White House. He released the party's election integrity priorities late Tuesday, which is topped by a call for closed party primary elections. McCoon told Politically Georgia that party stalwarts are clear they want, quote, Republican voters electing the Republican nominees, saying it is common sense to limit participation in Republican primaries to those voters who declare their allegiance to the Republican Party, so our nominees reflect the philosophy of our voters, he said. The overhaul faces long odds under the Gold Dome and will be staunchly opposed by more mainstream Republicans who rely on moderate and independent votes to carry swing legislative districts. See, they get it. They get it. You want to grow the party? You gotta enable people to grow into the party. It also could mean trouble for big-name GOPers such as Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger, who was vilified by Trump after refusing his calls to, quote, find enough votes to overturn the 2020 election, and the former Lieutenant Governor Jeff Duncan, who was, quote, exiled by party leaders after disavowing Trump. While crossover voting isn't widespread, it does happen. About 67,000 voters in the 2022 GOP primary cast ballots in the Democratic primary in June 2020. That's about 6% of all voters who participated in that year's GOP primary. David Myers, now with Open Secrets, at that time with the Fulcrum, wrote a piece, headline, Close Primaries and Gerrymandering, Eliminate Competition for House Seats. We already have a lack of competition for House seats in our House of Representatives. It means that while Congress is universally unpopular, the American people can almost never really change Congress enough to satisfy the American people because we allow gerrymandering to occur. And in some states, believe it or not, closed primaries do occur, which means if you live in a district, for example, I live in a district that is, it's a fait accompli. The Democrat's going to win. Whoever the Democratic nominee is, that's going to be your congressperson. It's Nikema Williams here. If you are a Republican living in my district, you can vote in the Republican primary for the person who's going to lose to the Democratic nominee. If you'd like, okay. It's pissing in the wind, pissing in a gale force wind. What good does that serve you? What if instead you wanted to ensure that the more moderate Democrat won the nomination on the Democratic side so that at least you had some say in how you were represented in the House of Representatives? Because voting for the person on your party's ballot who's just going to lose doesn't net you anything in the House of Representatives, right? Now, according to Ballotpedia, in 20 states, at least one political party conducts open primaries for congressional and state-level offices. In 14 states, at least one political party conducts closed primaries for congressional and state-level offices. And in 15 states, at least one political party conducts semi-closed primaries for congressional and state-level offices. It's not the majority of the states, but it's happening in enough that when you partner that with gerrymandering, you just wind up with more extremism. A Democrat living in Marjorie Taylor Greene's district, for example. What if someone were running in the GOP field that was less nutty than Marjorie Taylor Greene? If you're a Democrat living in that district and you know your candidate doesn't stand a snowball's chance in hell, all due respect to the last two men that tried to unseat her, who have both been on this show, wouldn't you feel like you had more of an opportunity to unseat her by getting the moderate candidate on her party's ticket to be the nominee? Wouldn't that be a win for America? Would that not be a win for America? David Myers writes in the Fulcrum a year ago, there are 435 voting members of the House of Representatives, but few of those districts, 55 to be exact, will be decided on Election Day, according to new data from the nonprofit organization Unite America. Now, again, this article was written prior to the 2024 election, obviously. So I don't know that number bore out, but it sounds about right. Further down, according to Unite America, 87% of House seats are safe, meaning they are non-competitive and considered a lock to be won by the dominant political party. Voters still get to cast ballots in the general elections for those districts, but the candidates, the political operatives, and the media already know how things will turn out because partisan gerrymandering has effectively guaranteed the outcomes. But gerrymandering only tells part of the story, David Myers writes. For a variety of reasons, few people participate in primaries. In fact, according to Unite America, only 7% of voting-age Americans cast ballots in those 380 safe seat primaries. These numbers speak to the despair many Americans have that their vote does not seem to matter, said Unite America Executive Director Nick Trajano. The research identified 3 factors leading to such low participation numbers: close primaries, uncompetitive primaries, and lack of interest. Many states allow only people who are registered with a political party to vote in partisan primaries, even though the elections are state-funded and operated. This year, 17.6 million people were not permitted to vote in decisive primaries across 15 states that have closed primaries. Myers continues, some states allow voters to participate in primaries even if they are not registered with a party. And 4 states have eliminated separate partisan primaries in favor of a single ballot primary in which all candidates run together. Alaska, California, Louisiana, and Washington each have a version of an all-candidate primary with variations on the number of candidates who advance to the general election. Unite America found that in those 4 states, 29% of House seats will be decided in November, triple the percentage of races in states with partisan primaries. Personally, I go back and forth on this. I would prefer that only Democrats get to vote for the person who represents their party. And I think you would have a lot less crossover if we didn't have gerrymandering running amok throughout the country, so that we wouldn't need to have knee-jerk reactionaries in either party seeking to close those primaries to keep folks from outside the ideological bubble from participating, because they themselves would be just as interested on their side of the aisle to see to it that their party is represented come general election time. Gerrymandering is the problem, not the primary situation. Unfortunately, as we know, the Supreme Court had the chance to weigh in on gerrymandering, and instead of outlawing it, the 6-3 majority conservative Supreme Court punted on it. So gerrymandering continues to be the cancer that destroys this country from within and denies we, the people, the opportunity to weigh in on who represents us in the people's house. Anyway, I'll include Dave Myers' article in the show notes at ronshowatl.com so you can read about that for yourself. This is The Ron Show, America One Radio, progressive voices via TuneIn. I get it. A lot of you have backed away from social media since Inauguration Day, maybe Election Day. If you want to go a little further back, I get it. I don't blame you. I set my phone to limit my social media activity as much as is possible, and that's really made it hard to do this show lately, so I've had to tell my iPhone, no, let's just pause that for the day. I limit myself to like 3 hours and gone way over. At Ron Show ATL on Blue Sky, Twitter X, Instagram, Threads, Facebook. I came across this graph on the Twitter X platform. Who is this? Adam Carlson shared this. This is very helpful. He describes himself as a recovering political pollster, current market researcher, and election nerd. Spreadsheets help me relax, he says. He shared a spreadsheet that shows how the Senate Democratic Caucus has voted on cabinet-level confirmation votes and the Laken-Riley Act. Going back to the 2016 Democratic Party argument, Bernie Sanders isn't even a real Democrat. It says here that Bernie Sanders is among the most Democratic of Democrats to not be a Democrat. He has voted no on everything, cabinet-level votes for everything except for Marco Rubio for Secretary of State, which I kind of get. On Blue Sky, Anita Chancey said something about Hakeem Jeffries being able to pull the House Democratic Caucus together, but Chuck Schumer, either candidate doesn't even try. She says, I'm not holding my breath that they will do what is needed. Greg Sargent had floated the idea of the Democratic Party giving Trump no votes on any nominees until he ends Elon Musk's illegal mission to gut the government. And I said to Anita, there's no Kirsten Sinema or Joe Manchin to overcome. What's left, he can muster together. To which Anita rightly points out, Fetterman has gone off the rails. Schumer's letting his caucus vote to confirm cabinet members, even with everything that has happened. For instance, yesterday, this is a couple days ago, both Colorado senators voted to confirm Chris Wright. Even if the person is qualified, we should not support anything until Musk is gone. To which I said, I hear you, but sometimes you take the devil you know versus temporary appointments you don't. Wright has nuclear, solar, and wind bona fides along with his fossil fuel fanaticism. You don't think Donald could find worse? I sure do. Sarah Palin's available. Well, I've since blocked her. This woman just castigated, not Anita, but some other woman, castigated me. Oh, you liberals are so weak. Listen, you can do the math and see that the math ain't mathing for Democrats to just not vote to confirm people. They don't have the numbers. The most controversial vote was for Pete Hegseth, and J.D. Vance broke that tie. The numbers just aren't there. So sometimes you got to hold your nose and at least accept that it could be worse. It's like voting in an open primary where you have to pull the trigger and vote for the opposition you can stomach. See what I mean?
Broadcasting 5 days a week to make common sense common again. This is The Ron Show on America One Radio.
I want to go back to this spreadsheet that I'm looking at, this graph that Adam Carlson put together. He calls it the Thune score. John Thune, the majority leader in the U.S. Senate. And for Georgians, by the way, I don't know, can you sleep well at night knowing that for the Thune score, the highest Thune score in the Democratic Party is, predictably, John Fetterman, voting 86% with cabinet nominees and including the Laken-Riley Act, which Fetterman voted for. The Thune score goes from 86% to 10%. 10% being where a Democratic senator voted for just one of the cabinet appointments and or the Laken-Riley Act. So John Fetterman has the 86% Thune score. Patty Murray from Washington State, along with Bernie Sanders and Jack Reed, Ed Merkley, Elizabeth Warren, Chris Van Hollen, Tammy Duckworth, Chris Murphy, Jeff Merkley, Ron Wyden, and Mazie Hirono from Hawaii. All of whom, by the way, voted for Marco Rubio for Secretary of State and voted no to everything else. They're at the bottom at the 10%. For Georgians, you have John Ossoff at 33%. He voted for the Laken-Riley Act and for Marco Rubio as Secretary of State. All Democrats voted for Marco Rubio, by the way. John Ossoff did not vote for 4 cabinet appointments. Just didn't vote at all. Like, didn't vote no, didn't vote yes. For Bessent at Treasury, for Sean Duffy at Transportation, Zeldin at EPA, and for Governor Burgum for Secretary of the Interior. The other Georgia Senator, Raphael Warnock, he's a 44% Thune score, y'all. That's the guy a lot of folks are talking about. Is he the 2028 guy? Warnock voted for the Laken-Riley Act, as did, by the way, John Ossoff. He did vote for Marco Rubio, as I said, everybody did. Raphael Warnock also voted for Sean Duffy at Transportation, the Real World TV star, and for Burgum for the Interior. He did not vote at all for Kristi Noem. Did not vote yes, did not vote no for Homeland Security. I don't know. It's graphics and spreadsheets, they're pretty interesting, but you can see that there is a solid blue movement of intransigence there amongst the more progressive 6, 9, 10, 11 of these, 44 U.S. senators that are digging in. Bernie, not even a real Democrat among them. Elizabeth Warren in lockstep right there with them. For those looking for a pulse, for those wondering where are the Democrats, again, sometimes you have to understand the math ain't mathin', and this is the governance that the American people elected. In some respects, obviously gerrymandering and close primaries notwithstanding, subverting democracy as Republicans love to do, this is still the system that we have to change, but cannot change without an overwhelming. I said this in 2024. We can't just show up and eke out victories. We have to show up with overwhelming numbers. More than half of the American voters didn't vote in 2024. We need to tap into that. And I get it. Folks are like, oh, the system sucks. It's not working for it. Yes, but when you don't vote at all, it's not going to reflect any change that you're seeking because we need those numbers, your numbers, to enact that change. Democrats have to start talking big like this, y'all. We're afraid to, in many cases, rock the boat or change anything that has been. That's the knock on Democrats. The Democrats, decorum and precedence and blah, blah. No, the American people want radical change. There were polls last year that showed that a vast majority of American voters want to change the whole damn thing if possible. That should be the guiding light, the North Star for opposition to what is happening right now. Hell, this was in July 2023 from Reed Epstein. A majority of American voters across nearly all demographics and ideologies believe their system of government does not work, with 58% of those interviewed for a New York Times Siena College poll saying that the world's oldest independent constitutional democracy needs major reforms or a complete overhaul. So, in some respects, that's kind of what we're getting. But it seems to me, maybe I'm wrong, but it seems to me that the American public ain't crazy about the overhaul that they're getting. Because again, a majority of American voters didn't vote at all in 2024. And that's what Democrats have to start signaling that they're willing to do. It is, in fact, what Democrats in 2016 as a party stiff-armed. Keep going back to the Sanders race, right? Sorry, but that's a bitter pill we have to swallow and accept that we got to own that, from the Hill a few days ago. Just to let you know where popular sentiment is in this country. This was just 6 days ago. Most registered voters disapprove of tech billionaire Elon Musk's role in the Trump administration, according to a poll released last Thursday. In the survey from Quinnipiac University, 53% of respondents said they are not in favor of Elon Musk playing a prominent role in the Trump administration, while 39% said that they are in favor of the Tesla and SpaceX CEO playing a prominent role in the Trump administration. That is a 14% gulf, y'all. 53%. 53% is the majority. Musk has been especially close with President Trump in the past year, backing his 2024 bid for the presidency heavily and appearing on stage at some of his rallies. Musk was tapped to lead the president's Department of Government Efficiency, DOGE, which Trump described in November as aiming to, quote, slash excess regulations, cut wasteful expenditures, and restructure federal agencies. Well, I would be willing to bet you that the numbers are even higher in opposition to Elon Musk now that he and some 19 to 25-year-old boys have tapped into the Treasury and, grandma's Social Security check is now endangered. Your tax refund? Don't expect it. All those other federal agencies that you might rely on for your income or your benefits comes from Treasury. Elon Musk has now tapped into Treasury. Big rally yesterday outside the Treasury building, and some prominent Democrats and thousands of other protesters showed up. Here's Jasmine Crockett.
I'm going to try my best not to preach.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Preach.
I just want to say thank you, because every day that we show up in D.C., we show up for you. We know who we work for. We know that we work for the American people. And what we're not going to do is stand around while they pull this bullshit that they trying to pull right now.
That's why she can't preach.
This is why I'm not going to be able to preach, because I probably won't be able to stop cussing. But let me tell y'all something. I know some of y'all have been frustrated, and you've been saying, where are the Democrats? Where are our leaders? Well, I'm here to tell you that we ain't never left y'all. All right? We are here. We are also going to make sure that they uphold the law. We are not going to sit around while you go ahead and desecrate our Constitution, or you look at the laws that have been passed into law and say, never mind, we'll just ignore that. Instead, we are going to be in your face, we are going to be on your asses, and we are going to make sure, you understand what democracy looks like. This ain't it. So let me tell you something, Mr. Trump.
Uh-oh.
You gonna learn a few lessons from us.
Oh, love this.
And And I'm going to be the first one. You and your little friend off of Twitter. Y'all about to find out, all right? Now let me be clear. What Maxwell said is true. Our job is to conduct oversight. We both serve on the oversight committee. And right now, as elected leaders who tried to go in, we were told, well, hold on a second. We got to check to see if you can come in. Now, y'all know he likes to pal around with Putin, right? He's trying to turn us into Russia.
Yep.
But I got news for him. We, the people, will not go.
That's right.
It's cold out here. And y'all, yeah, we won't go. We won't go. We won't go. We won't go. Listen, the final thing I'm going to say is there are those that have said that we may face a constitutional crisis.
Yep.
I want you to know that the crisis is here.
That's right.
I want you to know that the power belongs to the people, though, y'all. Do not feel powerless. In this moment, as the vice president said as she conceded the election, she said, dark times may be ahead of us. But she said, it's only in the darkness that we can see the stars. I am telling you right now that the stars are right here. It is time for us to shine. It is time for us to be heard. It is time for us to make sure that they know we will not go.
That is Jasmine Crockett, who, by the way, is 43 years of age, and in 3 years will be, 46 years of age? I believe that's old enough to run for just about any office she'd like to run for, even if it's just to run for re-election in her congressional district. I'm just saying. Jamie Raskin also speaking at a protest yesterday.
Elon Musk. Elon Musk, you didn't create U.S. aid. The United States Congress did for the American people. And just like Elon Musk did not create U.S. aid, he doesn't have the power to destroy it. And who's going to stop him? We are. We're going to stop him. Elon Musk, you may have illegally seized power over the financial payment systems of the United States Department of Treasury, but you don't control the money of the American people. The United States Congress does that.
I don't know. You better get in there, buddy.
Article 1 of the Constitution.
You can read it, but he's in there.
And just like the president who is elected to something cannot impound the money of the people, we don't have a fourth branch of government called Elon Musk. And that's going to become real clear. This illegal, unconstitutional interference with congressional power is threatening lives all over the world. I'm hearing from my constituents who work for USAID and USAID contractors in Maryland, in Washington, all over the world, and they're telling us that this is a killer in terms of their cutoff of the HIV and AIDS preemption. It's a killer in terms of anti-malarial education. It's a killer in terms of all of the efforts to shut down global viruses. Now, I don't know what Elon Musk's intentions are. I don't know what Elon Musk's motivations are. I don't know what his purposes are, but they've got nothing to do with what has been lawfully adopted by the people of the United States of America through the Congress of the United States. We're going to defend U.S. aid all the way. And I want to say finally this. I've heard some murmurings in support of this outrageous, scandalous, illegal maneuver that they just need some time to do some studies for evaluations. Well, I've heard from multiple constituents working in USAID that they have removed all evaluations from the USAID website, and they have shut down immediately, as of right now, all of the evaluations taking place of USAID efforts all over the world. This has nothing to do with evaluation. This is about termination and obliteration of the major foreign aid programs of the United States of America, all of which together total less than $40 billion. We have a Pentagon budget of $900 billion. The Pentagon budget is where the defense contractor Elon Musk, who became the richest man in the world off of our money, he collects his payments from, and now he's trying to shut down USAID. We're not going to allow this to happen. It will not stand.
I get it. $40 billion is actually a lot of money for you and I, but it's what Apple got a tax cut in last year. Just saying. Back after this. Final few minutes of today's Ron Show. I want to turn to South Carolina. Sullivan's Island, South Carolina to be exact. And we have this story from WCSC Television in Charleston, South Carolina.
Justin Kolar here at the Live 5 Alert Desk. Sullivan's police say they're investigating an incident after someone called officers trying to take the law into their own hands to deport a seemingly innocent man. Now, the video that captures this incident has been called disturbing and has since been circulating throughout social media channels. Officers say they responded to the area of Ion Avenue on the island for a call of a person that was operating a vehicle without a driver's license. Police say that video that we are about to show you in just a few moments here was later brought to their attention and has now prompted a full criminal investigation into the caller. Now, we do want to show you part of that video now, and as a warning, you may find it disturbing.
Oh, yeah.
You could have hired me, but you got a big old Mexican right here. You don't even speak English, bro. What's wrong with you? They coming. Yeah, for me. For you. Yeah, that's me. You got caught, bro. Where you from? Mexico? You from Mexico? You're going back to Mexico.
Parky.
No, you cannot drive, bro. You
Guy
have
like
not a license.
reached into his car and took the keys out of the
You have
ignition.
no license.
Jingles them in his face.
We going back. We got the cops coming, bro. If you don't got a driver's license, you can't drive a vehicle. You know that, right? You know, if you don't have a license, you cannot drive a car in the United States. No, it's over. It's over.
Wow.
Hey, El Chapo.
El Chapo.
Ya valí madre, no sé, güey. Dice que la migra.
They coming.
Aquí en la Atlantic 20.
Don't be speaking that pig Latin in my country, bro.
My God.
Be speaking that pig Latin here. This is America. We speak English in
Ya me quitó la
America.
llave, me quitó todo, güey.
We speak English.
This is
English.
embarrassing.
Habla English? No.
Dile.
Are you mad? You mad? You mad? You upset? This is my job. This is my truck. I own this country.
Oh, my God.
No, they coming. The cops are coming. He doesn't even have a license. He doesn't have a license. I got his key.
Okay.
I got his key.
Give me his key.
No, I-
Wow.
He don't even have a fucking driver's license.
Wow.
Está loco, eh. Es un racista, güey. Lo quitó, güey. Pero estás grabando todo.
Sí,
Estás grabando a mí también.
Sí.
Todo.
fue que estaba llamando a la policía, güey, y no volvieron
Sí,
nada.
pues ahí viene, güey. Estás grabando todo. Graba. Graba
No,
todo.
don't worry about it. He's gonna go to jail.
Okay.
Have fun.
Now, this video continues for about 2 minutes more while those two people inside that vehicle wait for officers to arrive. Sullivan's Island police tell us neither the driver of the truck or the individual that was filming that incident have been charged with anything, confirming their innocence.
But what about the ginger jackass? Yeah, that's what he is. Not that I have anything against ginger. I'm just saying he was a strawberry blonde white guy. from Huger, South Carolina. Charged in connection with a confrontation involving a driver. This, according to Patrick Phillips, again from WCSC Television, now faces an additional charge, according to Sullivan's Island Police. Sean Michael Emmerich Johnson, age 33, now faces 2 additional counts of kidnapping in the incident last week. Police Chief Glenn Meadows said Johnson was charged on Friday with 1 count of felony kidnapping and misdemeanor charges of impersonating a law enforcement officer, larceny, and assault and battery in the 3rd degree. In a 911 call related to the incident, a caller whom police identified as Johnson told dispatchers about a, quote, Mexican who, quote, doesn't have a driver's license and asked for police to respond to the 2500 block of Ion Avenue in Sullivan's Island, South Carolina. At one point, the dispatcher asked if he was driving or just walking around. What's going on that you know he doesn't have a driver's license, the dispatcher asked. He's driving. He doesn't have a driver's license, the caller says. Yeah, he's illegal. A video shared on social media, you heard a lot of it, that was recorded from inside the truck from the driver's friend, showed Johnson arguing with the driver of the pickup truck. Guess who wound up with the mugshot? Not the driver, Mr. Johnson. In the video, Johnson asked the drivers, whose name police say they are not releasing, if he is from Mexico, and then claims he is going back. The video also showed Johnson taking the keys out of the truck's ignition and dangling them in front of the driver, telling him he cannot drive and does not have a license. Thus, the kidnapping charge. And before you go thinking, oh, this is just an isolated situation, the Washington Post just days ago, Marion Levine reporting 2 days after President Donald Trump took office and began his immigration crackdown, a Mississippi state representative introduced legislation to create a, quote, bounty hunter program to identify people who are in the country illegally. The bill, introduced by State Representative Justin Keene, white guy, Republican, Mississippi, would give $1,000 in state funds to bounty hunters for every person they help to deport, according to a press release from DeSoto County District Attorney Matthew Barton, also a Republican, who says he suggested the idea. I had a guest on last week, Anthony Tony Lemieux, professor, Georgia State University, who said,
if you do things in service of Donald Trump, you will be rewarded for it, recognized for it, protected from the ramifications from it. And that is a really, really dangerous sign.
Well, here we are. I mean, if we're looking for Elon Musk to be held accountable, don't hold your breath. I'm not even all that certain that the guy we just heard harassing someone in South Carolina is going to fully see the long arm of the law, justice, prevail against him. Kidnapping, larceny, assault and battery. Sean Michael Emmerich Johnson, pale ginger fellow, age 33 from South Carolina, in South Carolina, in a South Carolina courtroom, facing those sorts of charges in Donald Trump's America. Are you thinking what I'm thinking? In much the same way that to me, it's jury nullification comes to mind, right? I mean, it's going to be, I don't know. I'm sure there's a judge who's going to take this seriously. And then when it gets pushed up, I can just see Nancy Mace right now. In fact, I'm waiting for Nancy Mace. The clock is ticking. Nancy, where are you? I'm sure you're just, oh, wait, she's too busy harassing trans people. She'd do the same thing to a truck of trans folks. I don't know. But that is what we live in. That is the America, the ugliness of the America we live in right now. I will include the link to both of those WCSC articles so that you can watch that video for yourself. It's disgusting. My heart hurts for those harassed gentlemen. And we'll follow up on this story. Since I've given it to you, you might as well find out how it works in the courts, right? That is going to do it for today's Ron Show. Show notes, as always, at ronshowatl.com. Back tomorrow at 9 a.m., 5 p.m. on America One Radio, 11 p.m. Progressive Voices via TuneIn or wherever you podcast. Take care.